Less than 2 weeks after a fire engulfed an apartment complex under construction, police have made an arrest. Thanks for joining us. I'm Kim Christensen.
And I'm Kyle Clark. Investigators used security camera footage and facial recognition software to track this suspect. 9 News reporter Shalima Maharaj joins us from Leetsdale and Forest, where that 5-alarm fire happened. Shalima?
Yeah, good evening, guys. In total, there were about over 150 firefighters that responded to this fight. And on the night of January 2nd, this entire block was consumed by smoke and flames. Now, one fire investigator that we spoke to, who's been doing this for a long time, describes today's news as a surprise.
It's a rarity to be able to prove that it's arson and to find the arsonist. That's a real rarity. It's like 1 in 100.
Randolph Harris would know. He's a fire forensics expert who's investigated more than 3,000 fires.
I think it's only led to maybe 2 convictions in my 40 years.
38-year-old Tony Becerra has been arrested in connection to the January 2nd fire on Leetsdale Drive. It destroyed the Harker Heights apartment complex that was supposed to open in May.
Arson fires, if you could find a sample inside with gasoline in it, that somebody spread gasoline around, that's about the best evidence you could have. But, surveillance video, seeing somebody go in and then go out and then the fire's going, that would be pretty good evidence also.
Several security camera images are included in Becerra's arrest affidavit, which says he was seen on video going into the apartment complex at around 6:30 p.m. and leaving at 6:34, 3 minutes before smoke and fire could be seen. After leaving the apartment, investigators say they tracked him as he walked to a nearby restaurant. Images taken inside were uploaded to a facial recognition program, which investigators used to identify him. Security cameras on the street, in businesses, and on a bus were all used to track his movements over the course of 2 hours after the fire and before, including this set of images, which investigators say shows Becerra going to a gas station before 5:30, stopping to fill something up inside of a bag at a gas pump. Now, Becerra is currently in custody in Denver facing arson charges. Now, investigations like this could take weeks, sometimes even months to complete, but here we are less than 2 weeks later. Reporting live in Denver, Shalima Maharaj, 9 News.
Xcel says it will likely shut off power to parts of northern Colorado starting Friday morning. The utility doesn't want one of its lines to spark a fire, so it's warning of a potential public safety power shutoff. It would impact roughly 9,000 customers in Larimer and Weld counties, including parts of Fort Collins. If the power does get shut off, it could take several hours, even days, to restore. 9 News meteorologist Chris Bianchi is joining us, and it's all about the fire danger. It's going to be high tomorrow, Chris.
Yeah, it's going to be high tomorrow. And Kim, just to clarify that fire danger will actually be highest for us on Friday, and that's why those potential shutoffs will be in place for Friday specifically. But tomorrow there is a fire weather warning. Admittedly, it's a little confusing here, but the pink, that is for tomorrow. And then in gray here on the kind of outer fringes here of that pink, there's a fire weather watch for Friday. And again, the fire danger will be notably higher for us on Friday because winds will be stronger on Friday. High wind watch for the eastern plains and the northern tier of the state. That is for tomorrow evening through Friday, with winds gusting up to 65 miles an hour. Quiet right now, and that satellite and radar picture, pretty quiet right now across the western third of the U.S. Temperatures right now, mostly in the 30s and 40s around the eastern part of Colorado. Temperatures in the 20s in the mountains. Overall headlines, quiet tonight, but we've got not only that wind to talk about, but we've also got a notably cooler forecast. I just lowered those temperatures for that Broncos forecast on Saturday. I'll tell you about that in just a few minutes.
Just 1 week after an ICE officer shot and killed a woman from Colorado in her car on a street in Minneapolis, another federal officer has been involved in a shooting tonight in that same city. I'll give you a live look from the scene. This is from the helicopter of our sister station, KARE 11 News. Right now there's a crowd that's gathered and at times has gotten into clashes with police. Flashbangs, pepper spray have been used. The only details that we have on the shooting right now come from the Trump administration, from the Homeland Security X account, which says that just before 7 o'clock Minneapolis time, federal officers conducted a targeted traffic stop of a man that they say is from Venezuela and is in the country illegally. They say this man took off, crashed his car, then fired a shot at officers. 2 other men then came out of a house with a shovel and a broom handle, Homeland Security says, and attacked the officers. Homeland Security says, fearing for his life, the officer fired, hit the man, the driver, in the leg. In a video response, Minnesota's Democratic Governor Tim Walz spoke directly to the people out in the streets as well as to the Trump administration.
Folks, I know it's scary, and I know it's absurd that we all have to be defending law and order, justice, and humanity, while also caring for our families and trying to do our jobs. So tonight, let me say once again to Donald Trump and Kristi Noem, end this occupation. You've done enough.
The police chief in Minneapolis has been warning for weeks that this kind of violence could happen. The police chief, the mayor, and the governor are calling for ICE to leave Minneapolis and Minnesota. The Trump administration has done the opposite since the shooting, sending more federal officers into Minneapolis. And they said within hours of last week's shooting that the officer involved did nothing wrong, and that the Colorado native that he killed in that car, Renee Good, that she was a domestic terrorist.
At least 4 Democratic lawmakers, including Colorado Congressman Jason Crow, say they are under investigation for their involvement in a video urging members of the military to refuse illegal orders. Crow confirmed today that he's been contacted by the U.S. Attorney's Office and asked for an interview. It's unclear what crime, if any, the Justice Department may be investigating. President Trump has previously suggested the lawmakers engaged in seditious behavior, punishable by death. All of them are military veterans. The Trump administration claimed the video was a way to undermine the president's authority as commander-in-chief, but the lawmakers say they were simply stating the law.
The Colorado Court of Appeals seems poised to uphold Tina Peters' conviction, but the judges today appeared inclined to reconsider the length of her prison sentence. The former Mesa County clerk is serving a 9-year sentence for her role in allowing an unauthorized person to access her county's election voting equipment. Is in search of evidence to support President Trump's false claims of election rigging. Today, Peters' legal team attempted to convince the appeals court to overturn that conviction. The 3-judge panel signaled that they believed that her sentence was at least 15 months too long. They pointed out that in one of the counts, the jurors may have convicted Peters of a felony instead of a misdemeanor because of a one-word error in the charge's description.
I'm confused as to why the people are continuing to maintain that the proper remedy on this isn't to enter the conviction for the misdemeanor.
It was one word, might, and it was already...
Yeah, but that one word distinguishes it from a felony to a misdemeanor.
And in this case, made an extra sentence, 15 more months in the Department of Corrections that couldn't have been given had it been a misdemeanor conviction.
Judges were not impressed with the state's case on that issue. The appeals court also raised questions about whether the trial judge who sentenced Peters gave her extra time because Peters berated the judge at sentencing about her election rigging conspiracy theories. The appeals judges pointed out that speech was her constitutional right.
State regulators say they've gotten about 600 complaints about people having car trouble after filling up at more than 50 gas stations in the Denver metro area, and even as far as Colorado Springs, Breckenridge, and Wyoming. Today, regulators released a list of gas stations that received regular fuel contaminated with diesel between Wednesday and Thursday of last week. That mix-up happened at an HF Sinclair gas terminal. The state says the investigation into how it happened, well, that could take a couple of weeks. They, again, reminded people who had to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars for repairs to return to the gas station where they bought the gas to file a claim. We've been hearing from some people who have basically been turned down when they did so.
Some of these smaller mom and pop shops who have never had to deal with a claims issue likely don't know the process. And that is what our division, in conjunction with Sinclair, hope to reach out to the owners who we do know were impacted and those who do not even know they were impacted, and make sure they understand what to expect and to ensure they know they need to receive these complaints from consumers. And the consumers, again, need to let us know.
You can find a full list of gas stations that received the bad gas on 9news.com. The state says all tanks that once held contaminated gas have been pumped out and cleaned, so it's safe to fill up. As a newborn baby was treated at Children's Hospital Colorado, her parents were the target of a crime.
A car was broken into. Some expensive gear was stolen. But 9 News reporter Colton Chavez found them staying positive.
Life has not been easy for Olive.
She was a cardiac baby, so she had open heart surgery at 4 days old. It's just been really difficult.
After surgery, her father, Charles Ole IV, hoped the battles for his baby girl were over.
And unfortunately, we did get to go home, but within 8 hours of going home, she developed a really, really bad infection.
As Olive fights to go home, Charles is facing a different battle.
I still have to pay for the house. I still have to pay for the water. You know, there was a point at which the water got turned off because we couldn't afford to pay it at the time.
Charles owns C4 Productions, a media company out of Colorado Springs, which allows him to work from the hospital.
And to add to all of it, we got a car broken into while we were here, and I was foolish and I left some of my equipment in the car, and unfortunately they got away with it.
Charles said he reported the break-in to Anschutz police. Despite all of the setbacks, his focus remains on what matters.
Olive is obviously here. She's had heart surgery. She's had all of that happen. But there are so many worse cases here, and we're given a lot of help right now, and I'm really thankful for that.
Thankful that his daughter is still here.
I knew from day one that I was going to make her a video.
Proof that difficult times don't last.
That would one day be able to explain what happened and how strong she was.
Reporting in Aurora.
Good morning. Because she has been so strong.
Colton Chavez, 9 News.